Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Rachel with Mic Drop Miniatures, and today I would like to show you how to make this digital download of a planning nook. It's a creative reset for the new year. This is a Dollhouse miniature printable and comes with lots of fun projects to make. So the first thing you'll do is download your printable. And you can either print these pages of the download and cut them out yourself. You can make them with a Cricut, totally up to you. We are going to be making a desk, and you could also cut this out again on your Cricut or on a laser if you have one. A few supplies that you're going to need for this is some scissors, of course, a ruler, a cutting mat, and I love to use an X-Acto knife. Where's mine? So right here, making sure that your blade is always sharp. You're going to need an awl, and I'm not even quite sure. I think this is handmade, as you can see. Cricut does make a good tool like this, but you can find them a lot of places. Some jump rings. We are going to make a little desk calendar, a date calendar, and it uses jump rings. And what else? Some glue. My favorite glue is Well Bond. I also like just an all-purpose glue, a glue stick. And I always like to have just a magic marker around, black, and then some clips. And if you are using a Cricut, you will need a knife. I think this is called a knife cutter. It's heavy duty, and it's to print or to cut chipboard. All right, and the paper that I used for this project, I'm going to go through that now. This is 27 pound, but I love the way that the color comes out. So it would be like copy paper, but the color is so bright, and I just love the resolution of this matte paper. This is again 27 Epson. Love that paper. Then I also have, for a thicker paper, this is 72 pound photo paper. It's glossy, and that I printed with, like you can see, these are all printed on that. The quality is really, it's like photo-like. So definitely an awesome paper. Then for the desk, I printed this on heavy chipboard, 2mm Cricut. I will tell you, I love to use 1.5. I feel like it prints a lot better, but this is all I had. So I used the 2mm heavy chipboard. For like the layers, for example, and on the pictures that I'm going to be using, I use craft board. This cuts pretty easily, and I just like the Cricut brand, but there's a lot of brands out there. So those are the papers that I use. All right, so to get started, I'm just going to go through this packet, and first we're going to start with a bulletin vision board. And to make the vision board, all we're going to do is, again, cut by hand or with Cricut. And you're going to layer this. So this, I just use regular paper, and I layered it about, I think this is 5 times. I cut, and I just glued the pieces together using an all-purpose glue stick. There's 2 different styles. So for example, and if you are printing these on your printer and cutting by hand, you could print this in black and white to save some of your ink as well, and then the black and white could go in between. So again, you're just going to layer as many as you want and then put the frame on top. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is push this back here, and then we can have more room. All right, so my bulletin board, I can go ahead and I cut out all the little accessories for it. It was really fun. I had some photographs and some note cards. You could write on them, do whatever you want, and assemble them onto your board. So if you're using a Cricut, look at that, how amazing. It cuts out really small details. So go ahead and make your little vision board however you want. I have to still do that. I haven't done that yet. So that's the vision board. Another thing for the vision board are these little cutouts right here. I envision these to be a little flag to put on the top as a decorative piece. So all you're going to do is fold them in half, like so, okay? And then you're going to place them on a string and add a little bit of glue in the end, and then glue it over the string. And then you can decorate it on top of your vision board. I'll have a visual here for you shortly after I get mine done. All right, so moving on. And here's all the other little pieces too they're just so much fun for the vision board. All the little mantras: be gentle with yourself, be strong, believe, achieve, succeed. And then I have like these little photographs. I even encourage you to maybe put something personal on your vision board. Maybe it's a photograph of, you know, you or your family. You can shrink it down and put it on your board. Okay, so the next sheet we have is the journal. There's two ways to make a journal. And the first way I want to show you is just taking paper. So I have to find it. Here it is. So how cute is this? A little journal, and then you open it up and it's got all the paper in it. I could go ahead and trim this a little more if I wanted. But all I did for this is I took all the pages that I wanted and I organized them. So I'm just going to do a quick little job of this. When I have it ready, I'm going to make sure that they're all lined up. And then I'm going to take a little clip and clip it. Again, making sure that they're all lined up. I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to add a generous amount of glue on the spine. All right, and then I'm going to pick my cover. Let's do this one. And I'm going to fold it here where you can kind of see where the design ends. Just lightly fold. And then once this is dry, I'm going to stick it into the cover. Actually, you could probably do it now, actually, while it dries. Stick it into the cover, making sure that it's tight against the spine, and clip it together, and then just wait for it to dry. Once it's dry, you can go and cut the cover's edges if you want, or leave it, totally up to you. But that's just a really easy book, a journal to make, to have on your desk. Another one that I want to teach you is how to make one. So this one's still drying. Let's see if I can take it off and show you. And this is going to be in another video, just because I didn't want this video to be too long. but it's a fun way to make one with binders, so with rings. So if you can see that. So make sure to check out that other video. I will have it linked right here. So if you scan that or go to the YouTube channel, it'll take you right to the video on how to make a journal with the binder clips. Okay, so that's your journal and notebooks. Let's move on next to a calendar. So we have a desk calendar, and then we also have a date display calendar. So the first one is a desk calendar. Here it is right here. And what I did is I went ahead and printed the months on really thin as paper as you probably can get. Probably 20 pound is about the thinnest. Print that on some good quality paper so the graphics come out good. I stacked these, and for the front and the back, I used several layers just to make it thicker. So I glued these all together again with my handy glue stick. And then I put the calendar together, January obviously being in the front. And then I fold these right where the black and the white meet. This I just printed on regular paper as well. Okay, so once I have it folded, it's gonna look something like that. I'm gonna go ahead and put some glue in the very back, just on the very edges, like so. And then holding it together, I'm going to slide the corner in as far as I can get it, like so. And then wrapping that around, hold it down, and then I just like to clip it into place. Okay, why we're doing this is because then you can take off your months as the year goes by, and you're going to do that for all 4 corners. Okay, so that's your calendar. And next we're gonna work on this little date calendar, date display. So this will have all the months, and then you can put the days. So to get started on that, I printed everything again on just regular copy paper. And then I took the back, and I'm gonna glue it to the just a piece of, actually it's just some scrap I had left over, just some chipboard. And I'm gonna glue it to the back of the chipboard. This is gonna give us some stability. If you don't have any chipboard, just anything sturdy, or again, do several layers. I already cut this down to size. But if you feel like you need to cut it down, here's your chance before we assemble. Okay, then I'm gonna take my ruler and my X-Acto knife, and I'm just gonna lightly score where the two colors meet. Now this is a brand new blade, so I know it's really sharp. But go ahead and just score. And then we can easily fold that up. Could have maybe scored a little more, but that's okay. All right. I think I have to clean my fingers. They're a little sticky. Okay, and then holding it together, I'm gonna take my awl and using a surface that you don't mind poking, so not probably your desk, hold it together. This is really important that you hold it together so the holes are very exact. If you want, you could maybe clip it together to help you. So hold it on your desk, again being straight. And using some force, you are going to make holes where you see those 3 little dots. Just like so. Okay, make sure that it's all the way punched through. And then I'm just going to open it up, and I'm going to just put the littlest amount of glue on the corner and in between each dot. Again, just the littlest amount of glue because you don't want the glue to go in the holes. And then we are just going to clip that and hold it in place. Let it dry, and then we'll move on to the letters. This is going to work like the same way. We're going to take, so here I have a stack of 1, 2, 3. You're going to make them as even as we can. All right. And then holding them tightly, take your all, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and put a hole right where you see the black dot. Making sure to go all the way through. This is where you're going to have to use your muscles. Okay, so I have a hole all the way through. I'm just going to take a clip it into place. And then I'm going to get a jump ring, see which one I like. For this one, I think I used one. The jump rings are actually too large. So I'm going to see about using maybe just a little smaller one. So I'm going to try this one. And I don't know. I feel like the months aren't going to go through this one as well, but we'll see. So for this, you're going to need some, these are jewelry tools. To open the jump ring, you hold one, hold it steady. I have the hole on their top. Take another one, and then you're going to twist. Now take your numbers. Oops. And don't drop your jump ring. Shoot. Okay, let's start that over. Holding your jump ring in place. There we go. Taking your numbers, holding them in place, you're going to slide them on to your paper. Now, if you're finding it doesn't slide very well, maybe go for a smaller or bigger jump ring. You're just going to have to kind of get a feel for this one. And then once this is dry, I know that mine probably isn't dry because I'm rushing the process here. But what I would want to do is make sure that my hole is open. And I know that this is going to be in the middle. So holding the jump ring, I'm going to slide it into place. Come on, little numbers. All right, let's try this again. My fingers are so sticky. I think I definitely need to wash them. I think it's something on my little tools here. All right, so now I have them in place. I'm going to close the jump ring. I'm going to hold one end, take the other one, and again, we're going to twist. You never want to open a jump ring this way. You want to twist the jump ring because otherwise you could break them. Again, I highly recommend that you wait for the back to be dry. This one wasn't, so my paper is coming away a little bit, but so there's the first one. I definitely love the size of this jump ring more than the one I did here. And then you're going to do the same for the months, and then the same 0 through 9 over here. So that's your little desk calendar. It's just easily going to sit right on your desk. How cute is that? Okay, for the sticky notes, the Post-it notes, here they are right here. I just went ahead and cut them out with an X-Acto knife. And just like we did with the notebooks, you're going to stack them really neatly and then clip them. So your little clips come in handy. Maybe this clip is actually too big. I do love these little gator clips too. You can find these like at the dollar store. Clip the very end. And then what you're going to do is take glue and run glue along the very top and let it dry. And then you will have these little Post-it notes that you can rip them off if you want. How cool is that? Because you always need Post-it notes when you are planning. All right, so let's move on to the desk. Again, I printed my desk using heavy chipboard, 2mm, and this is what it looks like when it comes out of the Cricut. It's very messy. Actually, this one's better than what some of them are. So I've had a lot of questions like, why can my Cricut's not printing very well, the chipboard. I will tell you, I love the 1.5mm better. I think it prints a little easier. However, you're going to need 2 layers because you're going to want it to be about 1 inch thick, or I'm sorry, 1/8 inch thick. And so I use this only because this is the only material I have. And you're going to need this special knife for your Cricut. Now, if you have a laser, you're more than welcome to go. The files work for the laser as well. And then it's even easier, right? Okay, so for the desk, and all the instructions are here as well, written if you like them. And I do have some visuals. Pretty easy desk. So there are 4 legs. And what you're going to do is just glue them together at a 90-degree angle. Okay, then we have the drawer, the side piece. And I'll show you what this looks like. So here's what the desk looks like done. So here are the legs that we just put together here. And then you have to get this side piece. And that's this right here. All right. So here's what the desk looks like, what we're trying to achieve. And so you have the front, you have the back, and then you have the sides. And then for this piece, I put the shelf right, you can put the shelves wherever you want. To make them square, I just find it easier to put it right where the design stops on the top and the bottom and glue it right in the middle. And then I take these sides and glue them on and make sure that they're flush to the bottom because it's going to sit flush on the desk top. And then one other piece is this decorative side. So let me show you that again. So this is one that I did on a laser and I just engraved the design on. But now if you're using a Cricut, you can put it on your chipboard and then stop it before it cuts all the way through. And what's nice about chipboard is you can take it into like layers. You can rip layers away. As you can see, it's not the cleanest. So what I think I'll do is I'm going to cut this on my Cricut just using paper because I'm going to paint this anyway. And this is going to go on the front here. It gives it more dimension, makes it look like it has a drawer. Or what I could do is take like an X-Acto now and maybe try to cut the insides out. That will also work. Otherwise, I'm going to see what it'll look like with paper. So you can experiment with this and see what you like. All right, so it's really easy to assemble. So for the top, we're gonna go ahead, and again, I'm just using Well Bond glue, one of my favorites, and I love this thin-tipped glue bottle. I think I just got it on Amazon. The trick with this glue bottle is you wanna make sure that it's full at all times, otherwise it's hard to squeeze. So having it full is definitely the way to go. Okay, now with my glue, I'm gonna go ahead and dot it to make sure there's not, I don't want it to seep over the edges too much. One thing I love working with chipboard is it definitely does dry a lot faster than working with wood, so that's a bonus. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and glue this on. I'm making sure that this back is flush with the back of the tabletop. Now, depending on how thick your wood is, it can be, you know, a little over, however you want it. If you want this flush with the side, or if you want a little lip, however you want it to look. I actually probably should have glued the legs on first, right? That probably would have been the smarter thing to do, but it is what it is. All right, so we're gonna take the legs. Again, you're not really gonna see the bottom, so I'm not too worried if the glue goes over, but I don't also want it to look horrible. So one of the legs is gonna go on the corner right here. And we're gonna hold that in place. Again, I probably should have glued the top on last. But you learn as you go, right? Then the next leg, is going to go right here. Okay, so let me flip this over and you can see what this looks like. This actually is a representation of my real desk in my craft room. I always like making things from my real life. Okay, just letting the glue set here. And then we are going to glue this on. You can paint the pieces before you assemble, after. I like just putting it all together, sanding down any rough edges and spray painting. That's what I like to do. Okay. So here you have your desk. You can see that. I'm gonna set that to the side and let it dry. And then I will have to go ahead and print the cabinet piece, this piece, because I'm just not loving it. So again, I'm gonna print this off on paper. If I had 1.5, maybe I'd try it on there, the chipboard. But again, I'm gonna paint it anyway, so I don't think it really matters. All right, and then the last sheet, I think it's the last sheet, yeah, is more bulletin board art. And then we also have these frame photos that I thought would be fun to put on the shelves and on the walls. You can make these bigger, smaller, however you want. I will say if you're printing these off on the Cricut, I did give you a file with just the borders to make it easy. And so I went ahead and printed these on that good quality photo paper that I showed you, glossy. Then I went ahead and used just the frames and I printed them off on chipboard, and I probably have like 3 or 4 layers. They are pretty thick. I wanted artwork that really stuck off the walls. And then, so here's a piece that I was going to finish with you. Again, here's just one piece. Then I just printed with just the frame. And then I'm gonna go ahead, use my glue, making sure that there's glue all the way around because you don't want gaps. I think that's enough layers. We'll save that one for maybe another one. Then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. Making sure that there's glue. And you don't have a big glob, so it's going to go on your artwork. Go ahead and put the frame on. Push it all in place. The thing with glossy paper is you don't want to get glue on it because you'll definitely see it. And with all these photo frames, I kind of liked the look. Maybe this one, I would go ahead and make this black, the edges. But the other ones, it looked kind of nice with the chipboard. I didn't mind it. So at this stage, I would go ahead and say, do I want to paint the edges? Totally up to you. You could make this one like a gold. I'm just going to go ahead and continue. And then I'm going to put the back on. Again, making sure, spreading out that glue so it's not going to go over onto our artwork. Okay, making sure that it's all pushed together. And there we go. We have an awesome artwork for next to our walls. You can go ahead, make these smaller, maybe put them on the shelf. That would be another idea. Or I wanted to show you with these. And by making smaller, when you print these, you just have to reduce the size. That's all. So when file print, just say like 60%, 70%, and just print them smaller. For this, I wanted to show you how I'm just printed these on foam core. You can get this in all different sizes. This one's pretty thick, but I wanted these to look like they were on like those signs that you see. I will tell you, when you cut these out, make sure that you have a really sharp X-Acto knife, because otherwise it's going to rip it like this one did. So I kind of wanted to show you that. So make sure you have definitely a sharp X-Acto knife. And then one thing to do, you could paint it, or again, you could color the edges with a marker. I think for this, probably paint will be better. But I would say use whatever you have on hand. You probably need just a few layers. And then you have some really thick art for either your wall or for your desk. Another thing you can do is line this with paper. So print off some, if you have construction paper or anything, you know, black paper, or even this tan, and then go ahead and just line the edges with that colored paper. That would look really cool too. So those are also things that you can make. All right, I think that includes our packet. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure also to watch the video on how I make the planner with the 3-ring binder. And thank you so much.